All right, everyone. So the other day I was trying to get to tier 3 on my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/salt. I was just a couple upgrades away, and I realized while reading the chat that there are a lot of people who are still very confused about everything that's really going on when it comes to upgrading your gear, because there's a lot of numbers and a lot of things to kind of keep track of, and it's really important that you understand everything about all of these numbers here to give yourself the best chance that you can in order to hit tier 2 and tier 3 gear. And that's what I wanted to focus on today. I wanted to really explain how all of this stuff works, including, very importantly, the Artisan's energy, because I noticed that there's a lot of misconceptions and confusions about this, and you really want to make sure that you understand it, because there's a couple of mistakes that you can actually end up making, like doing an upgrade that ends up having you end off at like 99% Artisan's energy. That is a big mistake. That's a scenario that you really want to avoid yourself getting into, and there's a couple of things that you can actually do. So let's explain everything behind all the gear upgrade mechanics to give yourself as good of a chance to hit tier 2 or tier 3 as you possibly can. So let's really get into it here, and I'm just going to use this piece of gear as an example. I'm not actually going to be doing any upgrades. I'm just going to be kind of using this because this piece of gear works really well for an example to kind of talk about everything that's really going on. So first of all, you have your honing success rate percentage. The base success chance from 14 to 15 on tier 2 gear is 40%. Now, you'll see that my number is actually up to 48%, and then there's a second number afterwards, which is 68%. Let's talk about that second number there because it's very confusing. That is not your upgrade chance. That is what you can end up getting your upgrade chance up to if you use additional materials. So my current upgrade chance is 48%, and I have the possibility to raise it as high as 68% through additional materials. So for tier 2, that's your Moon's Breath. For tier 1, that's your Star's Breath. But in tier 3, there's actual additional materials besides just the tier 3 equivalent of these Moon's Breath. There's also going to be solar protections and solar graces, which are like little versions of it. And if you actually end up taking a look at the market, you'll actually see what they look like here. So you have your tier 1 and your tier 2 Moons and Stars Breath. And then for tier 3, you have your tier 3 equivalent of this, which is actually going to be called your solar protections. But you also have littler versions of it, which are your solar blessings, and also the green one, which is your solar grace. All in all, though, all three of those for tier 3 are going to give you the same type of boost that you can end up seeing from your Moon's Breath and your Star's Breath. They increase your chance of success, but you can only increase it up to the second number. So you'll notice here that if I actually add Moon's Breath here, it's going to increase this first number, and I have the possibility to go as high as 68%. So the most amount of additional materials that I could add in this case would end up being 20. So that's very important to understand. Now, another thing as well is with special materials here, like this tailored basic knots book, you can actually add additional percentage beyond the 68%. The additional materials represents what you can add up to your honing success rate. So that's what allows me to go from 48 to 68%. But if I have any special materials, that actually allows me to go beyond 68%. So if I use 20 Moon's Breath, for example, that would let me get to 68%. But then if I wanted an even higher success rate, I could end up using one of these tailoring basic knots, and this would actually increase that 68% to 78%. You could only actually do that if you have something in the special materials tab. Now notice though that I'm actually at 48%, whereas the base chance to upgrade from 14 to 15 is actually 40%. Now how did I get from 40% to 48%? Well, that actually only happens because I have already failed twice. And when you fail in this game, there's actually kind of like, in a sense, two different types of pity systems. One of them is pretty basic. It's just going to increase your chance of success on the next one. And it also increases the chance or increases the thresholds that you can end up increasing with your Moon's Breath. So by Moon's Breath, I can always add up to 20 of them for every attempt from 14 to 15. So if I had a 40% success rate, I could add up to 20 of these Moon's Breath to increase my chance to 60%. But because I have a 48%, I can still add 20% of these, so it brings me up to 68%. Now, every time that you fail a honing attempt, it's also going to increase your base chance to succeed by a certain amount. So in this case, I started at 40%, and even if I add Moon's Breath, it brings me up to 60%. If I fail, it's going to increase this first number by a certain amount. And in this case, every fail from 14 to 15 on tier 2 gives you an additional 4% chance to succeed on the next attempt. So it went from 40, these numbers went, the first one from 40% to 44%, and then to 48%. So the second number is always going to be 20 points higher, so it goes from 60 to 64 to 68. Now that's one pity system, is it's just going to increase their chance to succeed no matter what. And then the second pity system, though, is the one that is a bit more confusing, and this is the one that a lot of people still seem to have a lot of misunderstandings about, and it's really important you know how this one works here, because this is the one that you don't want to end off at like 99%, and that is your Artisan's energy. Now, your Artisan's energy is completely separate from absolutely everything else that I've talked about. Take everything in this video that I've mentioned so far, and your Artisan's energy is separate from that. Basically, what your Artisan's energy is, it's just like a separate experience bar that fills up every time that you fail. It fills up by a certain percent, and that certain percent depends on what your chance to succeed is. So right now I have a 48% enhancement rate. If I add Moon's Breath, it's going to increase my chance to succeed. Now I have a 50% chance, 51, 52, and notice that the Artisan's energy that I could possibly gain is also going to go up as well. Now, you only actually get Artisan's energy if you end up failing. And again, it's like a whole separate experience bar. Now, what Artisan's energy does is it does absolutely nothing until you get to 100%. It has to get to 100% for it to have any effect at all. And once this number gets to 100%, which for me, it's currently 39.06%, then no matter what my chance to succeed is, it's going to give me a guaranteed upgrade with 100% success the next time. Now, Artisan's energy is basically, it's tied to that piece of gear. So I can't get to 100% Artisan's energy on this chest piece and then end up trying to enhance my weapon, for example. There's a separate Artisan's energy that's tied to my weapon. And you can actually see here under my weapon, I have a separate one that's 57.67%. And for my gloves here, I have 0% because I haven't done any attempts. For my pants, I also have 0%. If I go back to that chest piece, I'm back to that 39.06. So it is tied to that corresponding piece of gear. Now, very importantly, when it comes to your Artisan's energy, a mistake that you don't want to end up making is you don't want to end off at like 99 or 99.9%. Because basically what that means is that you almost got to 100% Artisan's energy, but you were really short. So now you have to do an entire additional enhancement attempt before you get to 100%, which is going to give you that guaranteed chance. If you just got a little tiny bit more to go from like 99 or 99.9% to 100, then at that point, that next enhancement would have been guaranteed. So basically, you want to avoid yourself to be in a situation where you're really close to getting a free enhancement, but now you have to do one additional enhancement in order to get your pity system activated. So what I want to do is, just for this example, pretend that the 39.06 is 75%. Just pretend that that's the number, and we have an Artisan's energy right now of exactly 75%. Now let's just say I end up enhancing and I have a 48% chance to succeed and I fail this enhancement. I would gain 22.32 Artisan's energy. So I have 75% and I gain 22.32%. So this would put me at 97.32%. So now my next enhancement would have a additional 4% chance to succeed. But because I didn't reach 100% Artisan's energy, the Artisan's energy effect would not activate and it would not give me a guaranteed enhancement. So I would have to do a whole nother enhancement with a 52% chance. And then if that one fails because I'm at 90, now that would put me at 97% Artisan's energy. If that 52% enhancement fails, then at that point, this would push me over 100% for Artisan's energy. And then no matter what, the next enhancement after that would be a 100% guaranteed success. Now, again, we're pretending that this Artisan's energy number is 75% for this example. Now, what you want to do is you don't want to end up in a situation where you do an enhancement attempt and you're really close to 100, and then you have to do another one to get to 100. So what you would end up wanting to do is just make sure that you don't find yourself in that situation and use a couple of Moon's Breath to kind of balance off your Artisan's energy so that you know that if you end up getting on an unlucky streak, you're going to hit just a little over 100% and have that guaranteed enhancement chance without having to waste another attempt in order to get it. So if I'm at 22.32 and I have a 75% Artisan's energy, what I would want to do is get this number from plus 22.32 to plus 25% or higher to guarantee myself that even if I failed, the next attempt would have a 100% success rate. So at that point, I would just add a couple of Moon's Breath. And again, I'm just using this as an example for the video. And now because I'm at plus 25%, if I have 75% Artisans and I fail this now 54% enhancement rate, this would push me over 100%, and that would give me a guaranteed enhancement on the next attempt no matter what. So very important there. You want to make sure that you don't find yourself in that really awkward situation. I see people do it all the time, and it just requires paying a little bit of attention. Now, generally speaking, because your chance to actually enhance is going to go up every single attempt, you're going to gain more Artisan's energy each attempt from the first one. So don't use this first number. Like, I have 39% right now, and I've failed twice. that doesn't mean that I'm going to fail 3 more times and then that's still not going to put me at 100%, because each enhancement attempt is actually increasing my chance to succeed, which is going to increase the amount of Artisan's energy that I get. Just make sure when you get past like 60, 70, 80%, make sure that you don't find yourself in a situation where you enhance and then if you fail, it's going to put your Artisan's energy right below 100%. I know it's a little bit complicated. I know this whole system is very convoluted. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going on, but it is really important that you understand this, especially as you move into tier 3, where your enhancement chances are a lot lower than they are in tier 1 and tier 2, and you're going to be relying on this Artisan's energy a lot more than you are right now. You might have actually gotten all the way to tier 2 and tier 3 and never actually had to use the Artisan's energy as your guaranteed success. But in tier 3, when the numbers are a lot lower than they are right now, this is a system that you're going to frequently actually see activate in order to get your next enhancement level, because the chances to succeed are just going to be so much lower. So especially as you move into tier 3, you really need to have a lock on how the system works and make sure not to make the mistake of ending off at like 99%. So anyway, I wanted to go through this video in a bit more detail. I still get a ton of questions about this. I see a lot of confusion, so I absolutely felt like it was worth getting into in a little bit more detail. So I really hope that this helped out. I'm going to leave it here. I think that's a lot to put on your plate with all the info I gave you guys. So that's going to be about it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, consider dropping a quick like, consider subscribing to the channel, turning notifications on for more videos like this in the future. And feel free to check out the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/salt, where I'll be playing Lost Ark as well as other games, and hopefully not failing, getting to tier 3 a bunch of times like I did the other night. So thanks again, everyone. Take care. And until next time.